And it's with a great deal of pleasure we welcome to the show two guys that every Cubs fan should know, Andy Buchanan and Dan Kramer, authors of the 2005 Wise Guide to Wrigley Field, the fan's navigator to Wrigleyville. And guys, welcome to the show. And I suppose that one of the things you ought to have in here is how to find a closer.
Yes, I think that's chapter 1 in next year's book.
Well, this is really kind of interesting now. The guide is more than just talking about Wrigley Field.
Right. Wrigley Field is such a unique place in the entire neighborhood. There's really no other setting like that anywhere. And so we tried to capture everything, tips and trivia about the park and the Cubs and how to go to a game and get the most out of the whole experience, but also what to do after the game, what to do before the game, bars and restaurants in the neighborhood, and just how to get the most out of the entire experience.
And I can see that you guys are true Cub fans, because I just open up a page and turn to and it says, take your vitamins, and it's got a drink over here, your favorite drink on the side. So.
It's all the essential things you need to make
That's exactly right. But, you know, it is an experience. I mean, Wrigley Field, over the last 20 or 25 years, has turned into exactly that, an experience that, and, you know, it's a young crowd for the most part, and people like to go down and have fun and enjoy the neighborhood.
Right. You know, I think we're true fans, so we like to see a good team on the field as well, but you also want to get as much out of it as possible, and so we've got advice in there on bars in the neighborhood and good restaurants, and
sure. And we've got things beyond just those essentials. We have surprising important things like how to cook goat chili and anything that you can do to kill the curse.
Goat chili.
Counseling centers in the area, neighborhood counseling centers for
after today, right? Yes.
Things like hotlines. Yeah, hotlines.
Depression.
How did you guys come up with this idea?
You know, I think we just felt like there was really a niche out there. There are certainly guidebooks about Chicago. There are plenty of books about the Cubs and Wrigley Field, but we tried to capture, like I said, the whole experience, and really felt there was a niche out there for it. And you know, frankly, it was just fun to do. You know, the research was great, and so it was fun to do.
Let's take a look at some of the other chapters in the book. First of all, you know, Wrigley Field itself. Tell us a little bit about what your suggestions are there.
Well, the one is on sitting in the bleachers, and of course, if you want prime seats, you get there early. If you can't, I've noticed that walk down all the way to the front and scout from the bottom up, and you'll see spots that open up, and finally be aggressive. Don't be afraid to ask somebody to scoot over. You know, they'll be your best buddy by the third inning and the second beer.
Now, did you guys grow up as bleacher bums out there, or did you just kind of come out between classes and that kind of thing when you were growing up?
I went to games as a child, yes. I followed the teams in the early 70s as when I first started following. Those were good teams back then. Ronnie Santo and Billy Williams and Jose Cardinal was my favorite, my personal favorite. But, yeah, so I've been following them for over 30 years.
You know, one of the things that it seems to me that if you do something like this for Wrigley Field, you have to do something similar for U.S. Cellular.
Absolutely, yeah. We have books in the works for Notre Dame and Iowa, and we're going to have a whole suite of them after the next couple of years.
And you know, every Sox fan is going to be counting pages. I know. 94 pages, so it doesn't come up short at all.
Well, you know, it does. You know, it's fun to understand exactly where to go, especially if you're coming from out of town. This is something that's really valuable that way if you're rolling in from out of town.
Well, we try to make it good for the tourists, people that are making their first visit to Wrigley Field, but also for diehard fans who live a block from the park and are season ticket holders. I think there's stuff in there that they'll enjoy reading about, or and tips that they didn't know about, and or stuff that they had forgotten. And you know, the vines were planted in 1937 when the scoreboard was built. Oh yeah, you know, I remember that.
Hey, well, if someone wants to procure your guide, how do they go about doing that, the Wise Guide? Well,
it's being sold right now in Borders and Barnes & Noble, and it's on our website, www.wiseguidebooks.com. And we're hoping to have some vendors outside the stadium hawking it as well soon.